explosion and radioactive ghost town, April 26, 1986. Pripyat, Ukraine. A city built for the workers of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, a beacon of Soviet progress. Families slept soundly, unaware that in reactor number 4, a catastrophic experiment was underway. Engineers, eager to prove their mettle, were pushing the reactor to its limits, simulating a power outage. Safety protocols were carelessly bypassed, regulations ignored in the relentless pursuit of efficiency. The atmosphere was thick with ambition, but also with a chilling disregard for the immense power they were playing with. A power that would soon be unleashed with devastating consequences. As the clock ticked past 1 a.m., a surge of energy ripped through the core, triggering a chain reaction that would forever stain the landscape. The explosion was deafening, a monstrous roar that shattered the illusion of control. Fireballs erupted from the reactor building, spewing radioactive debris into the night sky. Alarms wailed, but their warnings were drowned out by the chaos. The first responders, firefighters from Pripyat, rushed towards the inferno, clad in inadequate protective gear. They fought valiantly, unaware of the invisible killer that clung to their clothes, seeped into their skin, and slowly poisoned them from the inside. The air crackled with radiation, a silent, invisible enemy that would claim countless lives in the days, weeks, and years to come. Even in the face of such a disaster, Soviet secrecy prevailed. The true scale of the catastrophe was deliberately concealed, a decision that would prove fatal. In the immediate aftermath, confusion reigned. Plant officials, clinging to the party line, downplayed the severity of the accident. They reported a fire, a minor incident, while the reactor core blazed uncontrollably. Information was tightly controlled, filtered through layers of bureaucratic red tape. The residents of Pripyat, oblivious to the danger, went about their daily routines. Children played in the streets. Couples strolled along the riverbank, unaware that they were breathing in a deadly cocktail of radioactive isotopes. The delay in evacuation was a fatal error, a consequence of political expediency trumping public safety. The Soviet system, designed to project strength and control, had become its own worst enemy. Whispers of a disaster began to circulate, fueled by rumors and half-truths. The Geiger counters, initially dismissed as faulty, told a different story. They screamed with readings far exceeding safe levels, confirming the worst fears. Doctors, sworn to secrecy, treated patients with radiation sickness, their symptoms a terrifying testament to the invisible threat. The first deaths began to occur, silent casualties of a nuclear nightmare. But even as the evidence mounted, the authorities hesitated. The truth was too politically damaging, too disruptive to the carefully constructed image of Soviet invincibility. The world outside remained largely unaware, shielded from the unfolding tragedy by a wall of official silence. The wind, however, paid no heed to political boundaries. It carried the radioactive plume westward towards Scandinavia. At a nuclear power plant in Sweden, alarms blared, triggering a frantic search for the source of the elevated radiation levels. When the truth finally emerged, the international community was outraged. The Soviet Union could no longer conceal the disaster. Facing mounting pressure, they reluctantly acknowledged the accident, but still downplayed its magnitude. The evacuation of Pripyat was finally ordered, 36 hours after the explosion. The city was abandoned, a ghost town frozen in time, its Ferris wheel standing as a haunting symbol of shattered dreams. But the disaster at Chernobyl was not merely an accident. It was the product of systemic failures, a consequence of a culture that prioritized obedience over safety. The reactor design itself was flawed, prone to instability at low power. Safety systems were disabled, regulations were routinely ignored, and dissenting voices were silenced. The engineers, under pressure to meet unrealistic production targets, took dangerous shortcuts. They were cogs in a machine, sacrificing safety in the name of progress. The explosion at Chernobyl exposed the dark underbelly of the Soviet system, revealing its inherent flaws and its tragic consequences. The investigation into the disaster was swift, but far from impartial. The blame was quickly assigned to the plant operators, conveniently deflecting responsibility from the higher authorities. Anatoly Dyatlov, the deputy chief engineer, became the scapegoat, bearing the brunt of public anger. He was portrayed as a reckless and incompetent manager, solely responsible for the catastrophic events. But the truth was far more complex. Dyatlov was a flawed man, certainly, but he was also a product of the system, a victim of the same pressures and constraints that led to the accident. The trial of the Chernobyl operators was a spectacle, a carefully orchestrated display of Soviet justice. Dyatlov and 5 other plant officials were convicted of gross negligence and sentenced to prison. The trial served its purpose, diverting attention from the systemic problems that had contributed to the disaster. But the truth lingered beneath the surface, a radioactive shadow that would forever haunt the Soviet Union. Years later, documents would surface revealing the extent of the cover-up, exposing the lies and distortions that had concealed the true scale of the tragedy. The story took a dark turn as the cleanup efforts began. Thousands of conscripts, known as liquidators, were drafted from across the Soviet Union and sent to Chernobyl to contain the radioactive fallout. They were ordinary men, farmers, factory workers, students, thrust into an extraordinary situation with minimal training and inadequate protection. They worked tirelessly, building a massive concrete sarcophagus around the shattered reactor, a desperate attempt to seal in the deadly radiation. Many of these liquidators were exposed to lethal doses of radiation, their health irrevocably damaged. They became the forgotten heroes of Chernobyl, sacrificing their lives to prevent an even greater catastrophe. The zone surrounding Chernobyl became a forbidden land, a vast exclusion zone where nature began to reclaim what was lost. The forests grew thick and wild, the animals roamed freely, and the ghost towns stood as silent witnesses to the human tragedy. But the radiation remained, a persistent and invisible threat. Scientists continue to monitor the area, studying the long-term effects of the disaster. The legacy of Chernobyl is a stark reminder of the dangers of nuclear power and the importance of safety, and it's a testament to the resilience of nature and the enduring human spirit. Years later, a new danger emerged. The sarcophagus itself was crumbling, threatening to collapse and release another wave of radioactive dust. An international effort was launched to build a new, more robust containment structure, the new safe confinement. This massive arch, built off-site, and then moved into place over the old sarcophagus represented a triumph of engineering and international cooperation. It was a testament to humanity's determination to learn from its mistakes and to prevent future disasters. But the long-term fate of Chernobyl remains uncertain, a persistent reminder of the fragility of our world. The true death toll from Chernobyl remains a subject of debate. The official Soviet figures were significantly lower than estimates from independent scientists and international organizations. The long-term health effects, including increased rates of cancer and other diseases, continue to be studied. The psychological impact on the survivors, the liquidators, and the residents of the affected areas is immeasurable. Chernobyl is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the devastating consequences of technological hubris and political secrecy. But there's one more hidden, unbelievable irony to the tale. Decades after the disaster, against all odds, parts of the exclusion zone started to thrive. Wildlife returned in abundance. With humans gone, nature reclaimed the land. Wolves, lynx, deer, and even the endangered Przyalska's horse flourished in the radioactive landscape. Chernobyl became an accidental nature reserve, a bizarre testament to the resilience of life. This resilience, however, doesn't negate the deep scars left on human lives. Generations were affected by forced relocation, health complications, and the lingering fear of the invisible threat. The abandoned city of Pripyat stands as a chilling monument to what was lost, a time capsule of Soviet life abruptly frozen in time. The swing sets remain, the toys lay scattered in apartments, and faded portraits of heroes gaze down from walls, all bearing silent witness to a world that vanished in an instant. And perhaps the most haunting irony of all, the very nuclear energy hailed as the future became a symbol of humanity's potential for self-destruction. Chernobyl serves as a permanent, radioactive reminder that progress without caution can lead to unimaginable consequences. The ghost town continues to stand, a chilling emblem of hubris, echoing through time.